went to catch Statistician for wrongdoing. We released it as part and parcel of our transparency. And when we did so, we indicated that we have adjusted the population. So in reaching out to 17.4 million dwelling units, we reached out to 42 million people. And out of the 42 million people, came out with an undercount of 31%, lowest in the Free State 20%, highest in the Western Cape 35%. And indeed, we adjusted for sex as in male, female, we adjusted for age cohorts, we adjusted for settlement types, and indeed we came up with a population of 62 million. If we had said our undercount was 31% and left the population at 42 million, it would have been sitting at where our population was in 1996. Then there would be a problem. And we would have failed our country if we reached out to 42 million people and we could not estimate the population of the country. We would have failed our country, would have been remiss in our work. So we have done our work, and we welcome debate and discussions from scholars, and we will continue engaging them, but the census numbers are solid and they stand. Having said so, let us talk about governance, public safety, and justice survey, and indeed the victims of crime 2023-2024. I have my friend Beki Mbonambi here, and of course he wants to hear whether I'll talk about Kwambonambi. I'm not going to include that, but Beki sits there, a good friend of mine. So let us look at what are we talking about. We are talking about a sample size of 30,000 households spread across the 9 provinces. And indeed, we have started this way back, and we resumed was that in 2011 all the way to 2017, 2018. And of course, we're going forward to say, as of 2017, we redesigned the Victims of Crime Survey to make room for new information and demand, information demands on governance. And of course, this redesigned governance, public safety, and justice survey, in short, GPSJS, retains the victims of crime content. The levels and trends about crime in South Africa, we are not competing with the South African Police Service's crime statistics. We are complementing each other. So let us look at it this way. With SABC crime statistics, we are talking about crime as reported at the police stations. Whereas with the ones that we release from Statistician, we are talking about experiences of crime at household and individual level. So you will tend to pick up that there are cases where the number of incidents that we report on are higher than those that come from SABC. And it's not like SABC is trying to hide something. It's because when we go to people and households, there are those who indicate that they didn't go and report their experiences of crime as victims. And as such, the police would not know. The police would have no other way of knowing if you have never appeared before them. So that is why we talk about complementing each other. We talk about crime at household level as well as at individual level. A good example is here. If someone comes and a criminal comes and causes a crime at a dwelling unit, the effect is not to one individual, it's to the entire household. whereas if they meet me in the street and I'm a victim of crime, the other members of my household are not there. So it's at an individual level. And we look at incidents over 5 years as well as in the past 12 months. So let us look at household experiences of crime. We are talking about 7 household crimes. That is housebreaking, home robbery, theft of motor vehicle, assault, murder, sexual offense, as well as deliberate damaging of dwellings. You will realize that here we are talking about theft of motor vehicle or motor vehicles as opposed to hijacking. Because when someone comes to the house and steals your vehicle, it's opposed to what would happen when you are driving the vehicle and someone comes across and takes it from you, which is an individual experience, which is a hijacking. So we are saying that around 2.6 million households experienced housebreaking or burglary in the past 5 years. And we can see that this is an increase by 12% from the previous year. As we can see, we have moved from 2.3 million in the past year to 2.6 million. Furthermore, we are saying that around 459,000 households experienced home robbery during the past 5 years. And we can see that it is a decline or a decrease by 1%. And indeed, we will understand that there is a difference between home robbery and housebreaking. Let us look here, we are talking about housebreaking or burglary is when you are not at home, and home robbery is when you are at home, meaning that there could be collateral dangers that we'll talk to later. Again, we are going ahead to say 257,000 households experienced assault during the past 5 years, and we can see that is an increase by 17% from 219,000 straight to 257,000. 220,000 households experienced theft of motor vehicle during the past 5 years, which is a slight increase, or is an increase by 6% from 109,000 straight to 222,000. Around 219 households experienced deliberate damage of dwellings in the past 5 years. And we can see that we moved from 152,000 all the way to 219,000, which demonstrate an increase by 44%. Around 67,000 households experienced murder during the past 5 years. That is up by 18% from 57,000 to 67,000. There is indeed a drop in the past 5 years, a drop in the past 2 years, where we are saying that we see a drop from 49,000 to 47,000 in terms of sexual offenses in the past 5 years, and that in the past 2 years particularly, and that represents a 4% decrease from the previous year. Let us look at comparisons. Households that experience housebreaking increased by 5% between 2023 and 2024. That is when we look at the past 12 months. And we can see that when we look at other crimes, we see generally an increase in all of them, as we can see that the darker color tends to show that we jump to the red color. So the darker color is the previous year, That is 2022-2023, and indeed the red color shows the 2023-2024 experience. Now, about 100% of households that experienced murder reported all incidences to the police. Less than 50% of housebreaking incidents were reported to the police. So now, let us look at murder at the top. While incidences were 22,000, they were all reported to the police. Because indeed, murder tends to be shocking, not only to the households themselves, but to the neighborhood and the society. And people will always report to the police. And indeed, in some cases, the police will learn from someone in the neighborhood and then they move into that area. Whereas if we look at housebreaking or burglary, we had 1.4 million, almost 1.5 million incidences. But less than 50% of those were reported. That is 44.1% were reported to the police. We can see also the reporting of theft of motor vehicle sitting at 85.8%, and it's largely because most vehicles are insured. But also, even those that are not insured, the owner always has hope that when I've reported it, they will most probably stop the vehicle at a roadblock, and indeed I will be able to recover my vehicle. Now, let us continue to look at the past 12 months. We are saying that housebreaking peaked in June with 162,000 incidences. And we can see that after June, we have September. After September, we have December. And of course, I was asking the colleagues, why June? They said, well, it looks like it gets darker quicker. But also, if you look at June, September, and December, that is the time that the schools are closed and most households tend to be away from home. So there are those who go on holiday. Those who do not go on holiday, you find that some of them send the children to the grandparents in outer provinces or rural provinces while they are at work. So there's generally nobody at home. Of the 55% of households that indicated that a weapon or weapons were used during an incident of home robbery, 67% reported that a gun was used. You can see at the bottom a gun was used, a knife at 29.1%, and an axe or a panga, and at the top there, as well as a stick or a club. I know that the machete or the panga is very famous these days in the media. And I guess I'm a statistician. I'm not supposed to give any views beyond what I also see in the media through media houses like yourselves who show us. But we are saying that around 7.4% of those who experienced home robbery in the past 12 months received counseling. So let us look at home robbery. Injuries, where there were injuries, 19.1%. Where they required medical attention, 75.3%. And of course, counseling, 7.4%. So we can see that 92.6% still didn't receive any counseling. Now, we are going beyond the household level. We are now going to individual levels. And individual experiences of crime, we are saying that there are 7 types also. We are talking about theft of personal property, your cell phone, your necklace, your watch, street robbery, hijacking, sexual offense, assault, psychological violence, and consumer fraud. We can see now at household level, we had what we call theft of motor vehicle. Now, if you are driving your vehicle and someone takes your vehicle by force or in a way of criminal activity, that is hijacking. It's no longer like theft of motor vehicle, because it was not parked at home. And of course, we can see psychological violence, and this may be remote. This may include bullying or harassment in the form of text that people who want to terrorize others do send. We are saying that 2.8 million individuals experienced theft of personal property during the past 5 years. And in comparison with the past year, we see a decrease by 0.2%. And indeed, 1.1 million individuals experienced street robbery. And compared to the past year, we have gone up by 7%. And of course, here we are talking to individuals that are 16 years or older. About 700,000 individuals experienced consumer fraud in the past 5 years, and that is an increase of 16% from the previous period. Not was that previous year, let me say previous period. We will talk about the previous year when we come to the 12 months. Let me apologize for that. So when we look at 5 years, we use the previous period because we are comparing in batches of periods. Now, let us come to assault. 650,000 individuals experienced assault during the past 5 years, which is an increase of 26% from the previous period. And of course, 287,000 individuals experienced hijacking during the past 5 years, an increase of 2.5% from the previous period. And of course, 116,000 individuals experienced sexual offense during the past 5 years, and that has increased by 2.6%. Now, individuals that experience theft of personal property increased by 8% in the past 12 months. And we can see that right at the top, from the darker color all the way to the lighter color. But we see that there are those that decreased, like hijacking. We can see now in the current year that we are reporting on, 2023-2024, it's 81,000, whereas in the previous year, we were sitting at 114,000. We see a decrease as well in street robbery from 483,000 in the previous year, and of course now we are sitting at 443,000. Only 28.5% of individuals that experienced theft of personal property reported some or all incidences to the police. A total of 1.4 million incidences of theft of personal property occurred in the past 12 months. So we can see, let us look at theft of personal property right at the bottom. We can see that it had the highest number of incidences, 1.4 million, whereas the reporting was the lowest. But when we look at the top, sexual offenses, which tended to be the lowest in the past 12 months of all offenses, but the reporting was 67.5%, and I'm talking about reporting to the police. Theft of personal property peaked in December with 140 incidences in the past 12 months. We can see that it was followed by April as well as July. And you can see that in December, Christmas time, Easter time, and your July, your school holiday times when people are out and traveling and out and about in different parts of the country. Let's talk about Gauteng. As a province, has the highest proportion of individuals that experience theft of personal property, and indeed Limpopo has the lowest. We can see Gauteng on the right-hand side is sitting at 4.6%, whereas in Limpopo we have 1.6%. So the difference is about 3 percentage points. Of the 71% that indicated weapons were used during an incident of street robbery, 48.8% reported that a knife was used, as we can see, with a lighter or a red color at the top, with a gun being gray, 42.3%. Of the 55% that indicated that weapons were used during an incident of assault, 40.1% reported a knife that was used. Of the 27% that indicated weapons were used during an incident of sexual offense in the past 12 months, 42.2% reported that an axe and a panga was used. It's on a very sensitive matter of sexual offense, so I will not go back to the story of the panga that we have seen in the public space. But you need to understand that our job is to report. Taste buds are not ours. If we have taste buds, we will not be able to tell you or tell the nation through media houses what the nation needs to know. So we are saying most injuries occurred during an incident of assault, that is 72.7%. That is around 3.6% of those who experienced street robbery received counseling. So let us start with street robbery at the top, and we move along that line. We can see that injuries were sitting at 23.9%, and of course requiring medical attention in terms of those that were injured, 65.9%, but counseling 3.6%. But let us compare that with sexual offense right at the bottom. We can see that in terms of injuries, 17.3%, but medical attention is 100%. So we can see that this destigmatization of sexual offenses because people go and seek medical care, and indeed beyond that we can see that counseling goes to 34.7%. About 46% of individuals that reported that a known person was the perpetrator of assault. So let us look at a known person, a friend or an acquaintance, a spouse or intimate partner, a relative or other member of the household. We can see when we take those, they constitute 46%. An unknown person is sitting at 38.6%. So most victims of crime in the past 12 months, the most occurrences or incidents where the perpetrators were people known to the victim. About 34% of female individuals reported that a spouse or intimate partner was the perpetrator of assault. 57.3% of female individuals reported that a known person was the perpetrator of assault, either a friend, a spouse or intimate partner, or a relative and a relative or other household member. Now we can see when we compare that to males, the highest we can see was largely an unknown person, as is in females. But when we start adding a friend, a spouse, the spouse for males, look, it's at the bottom, sitting at 0.6%. And for females, a spouse is sitting at 33.6%, second from the top. So we can see that the whole issue of gender-based violence and from people that the victims who are female tend to know remains prevalent, because if things were okay, we would see similar levels for both males and females, particularly when it comes to a spouse or an intimate partner. Among almost 23% of individuals reported that an incident of assault occurred at home. So we can see that the red color, 22.5%. And indeed, 49.7%, almost 50%, occurred in a residential area, in a shop, or in the office. We should be worried, especially about this one of the office. And the shops as well, because these are places we need to go to. And residential areas is where we stay. So where are we going to run to if it happens even in places where we stay, where we should be much more secure? About 40% of female individuals reported that an incident of assault occurred at home. Only 13.4% of male individuals reported that an incident of assault occurred at home. So we can see again that females are less safer at home where they are supposed to be safe. And when you look at places such as residential area, shops or offices, these are places that people are supposed to be safe. Now, a larger proportion of persons in the Northern Cape province experienced assault compared to people in other provinces. That is 2.5%. The lowest was in Limpopo, 0.3%. I asked the colleagues here, why the Northern Cape? They kept on looking this way, kept on looking this way. But one of the things we have also picked up is that when you look at the victims of crime, not victims of crime, the causes of death, death due to unnatural causes, especially that which is driven by assault, is relatively higher in the Northern Cape and the Western Cape as a proportion. Psychological violence was measured for the first time in 2022-2023. That is non-physical harassment. If somebody made an offensive, threatening, or humiliating comment to you, insulting or calling you names, yes, there are times when even we at Statistician get a lot of humiliating comments, especially in the past week about Census 2022. But it's in the line of duty, so we will not report ourselves as victims of crime. Psychological violence peaked in May, April, and February. And I was saying, what happens in February? I asked the colleagues here. They touched here and there, and touched here and there, and I'm saying, but February is supposed to be the month of love. So imagine those who do not get cooperation when they expect it. They start sending all those difficult messages. And they spend the whole year not talking to anybody. They are waiting for February again. A larger proportion of persons in the Northern Cape province experience psychological violence compared to people in other provinces, 2.7%, and indeed followed by the Free State, 1.6%, the lowest in KwaZulu-Natal, 0.3%, as well as in Limpopo, 0.3%. Individual perceptions of safety, we are saying that individuals who felt safe walking alone in their neighborhood during the day decreased from 80.8% in the 2022-2023 year and to 80.4% in the 2023-2024 round. Those who felt safe walking at night decreased as well from 37% in 2022 2023 round to 34.9% in 2023-2024 round. So we can see that individuals feeling safe have decreased, whether it's during the day or at night. More females, 45.7%, felt very unsafe walking alone at night in their neighborhood compared to males. I usually say that if a neighborhood is safe, you will usually see women feeling comfortable to walk around at night. Now, statistics are confirming to us that women are actually feeling very unsafe walking alone at night in their neighborhood. And if it's in their neighborhood, it should concern the nation. But when you combine both very unsafe and a bit unsafe, you can see that we go to about in the excess of 66%. When you compare that with males, we come to about 63%. And again, when you look at very safe, men feel a lot more safer than women walking alone at night. 39.9% individuals aged 16 and older have done something to protect themselves against crime in the 2023-2024 round. So let us look at those who have done something. 33.4% of those indicated that I walked during safer hours. And of course, those who have done measures of physical protection, 20.9%. I do not walk alone anymore, 7.8%. Private security, that is paid armed response, 7.6%. But let us look at the 60.1% who have not taken any measures. What are their reasons? The main reason is that there's nothing I can do. People have given up. I do not know what to do. The police can't deal with it. And of course, especially in the neighborhoods or at home, it's a matter of society to assist the police, because the police cannot be everywhere. 43.8% aged 16 years and older indicated the first thing they did if they see a person committing a crime is to call the police. So look at the confidence people have on the police. It's the highest of the actions that they will do as the first thing. But they also call a neighbor, 35.8%. Call the security services, 7.6%. 4% walk away. And look at those who say, I continue watching, 1.5%. 46.7% of individuals aged 16 years and older indicated that they will contact their neighbor first if they suspect they may be a victim of crime. And we see this a lot in the rural areas and in the townships, as opposed to in the suburbs. 21.3% South African police services, a relative 13.7%, and of course, those who will not contact anybody, it's 1%. But the police, the community policing forum, 4%. Now, recap. An estimated 1.5 million incidences of housebreaking occurred in the 2023-2024, affecting 1.1 million households in South Africa. At individual level, 1.4 million incidences of theft of personal property occurred in the 2023-2024 round, affecting 1.3 million individuals aged 16 years and older. The number of affected individuals represent 3% of the population. Feeling of safety, we have already indicated that both during the day and at night, people indicate that they feel lesser safe compared to the previous round of 2022-2023. The next slide says Njihela Kwala. Becky, when you and I were small, writing letters for our mothers and fathers, some of us in Limpopo, because our mothers could not read and write, when a mother and father finished their letter, they could not say, I love you, my husband, or I miss you, because the children were not supposed to hear parents loving each other or missing each other. And you know, if we had that coming out of our mothers' mouths, we were going to go deaf, according to village legend. And if we wrote that down, Temba, Maud, we're going to go blind by village legend. So mother and father had to find a standard way of finishing a letter. In Xitsonga, they would say, Njihela Kwala. In Sepedi, ke fetsa hona mo. In Setswana, ke fetsa hona fa. In isiNdebele, they would say, ngiyathokoza. Ka Setswana, ka Sesotho sa Borwa, ka Sesotho, they would say, ka ditumediso na watsena. And in English, they would say, I miss you, my husband. I miss you, my partner. In Afrikaans, they say, ek lief vir jou. Because they could read and write. And of course, never and never again, President Mandela once said, should we have sections of the society not be able to express themselves, even on issues that matter the most to their hearts, like love, but particularly in terms of victims of crime. We should not, as a nation, be it through the police or in the neighborhood or in society or in the household, fail to protect victims of crime because we say we do not know. Here are the numbers. They are telling us a story. And this story, while they are aggregates, these numbers are about lives of people. These numbers are about human life in the background. So in isiZulu, especially in Kwambonambi, where my friend Becky comes from, when they finish the letter, they would say, amaningang now. So Svuile, naam mfethu. And of course, you come from the Eastern Cape. In the Eastern Cape, when they finish the letter, they would say, ndiceda khona apha ngomkhulu umbulelo. So naam mfethu, amaningang now, because the next slide looks like it's blank. I thank you.